May I have your attention? May I have your attention, please? Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. May I have your attention, please? I'm going to invite the Spirituals Choir to make their way up as they will be doing our opening number. And thank you. Did you enjoy the video? Greetings and welcome to our program celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Happy birthday, Dr. King. Today would have actually been his 94th birthday, January 15th, 1929. He lived for 39 years and was assassinated, that's a nice word, murdered, on April 4th, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank God I was there then. And so welcome. As the Spirituals Project work their way up here, I want you to give them your undivided attention. You're in for a treat.
Once again, welcome everyone. The first song that will be performed today is Lift Every Voice and Sing. And we've been asked and encouraged if you could join with the choir for this number and everyone participate. The lyrics are readily available. Search any smartphone device or otherwise. Check your phone, get your phone out. But you can stand up, you can sing. And again, we'd like to welcome the Spirituals Project from the University of Denver.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, we're going to try that one more time. Good afternoon, everyone. There we go. That's what I like. You give the prompt and there's a collective response. Amen. So as we prepare, as was already said, we want to invite everyone to join us in singing a song that has been dubbed the Negro. Well, actually, on the score it says Negro National Hymn. And the NAACP adopted it as the Negro National Anthem. It was written in 1899 by James Weldon Johnson in preparation for a tribute, an assembly for school children in honor of President Lincoln. And it began as a poem, but it was so profound to him that he invited his brother, J. Rosamond Johnson, to set this poem to music. And it was so powerful in its first rendering that many people shared it with their communities until so many people began singing the song. And to kind of put it in a little bit of context, when people sing this song, especially in the Black community, it is customary to stand in the same way we would stand for our country's national anthem. Now, I won't answer all the questions for you, but it does beg the question, why a Negro national anthem? I'll leave you to ponder that on your own. But what I will do is invite all of us to stand. I know you don't have the lyrics. Hold on. I'm gonna give you the signal. You know what the signal is? When you hear the introduction, you know, there's a custom, I think it was King Henry, I might be mistaken on that, in England, when he heard Handel's Messiah, the Hallelujah chorus, which ends part 2. He felt, rumor has it that he felt it was so stupendous that everybody needed to stand. That's how moving, that's how powerful, that's how impactful the Hallelujah chorus was. And that tradition remains today. And so as you hear the introduction, even for those who don't know the words, please sing along in spirit. Yeah?
Wow, that's always electrifying for me. Hope it was the same for you.
Thank you. Once again, the Spirituals Project from the University of Denver. We'd like to thank the Jewish Community Center for welcoming us today into this wonderful space. And it's a pleasure to open up the event, not only with our Spirituals Project, but also with James Ray. It's a pleasure to welcome Reverend James Ray, who has for many years provided support, leadership, and vision for the annual Martin Luther King celebrations throughout Boulder County. Reverend Ray has served as the pastor for the Second Baptist Church in Boulder since 2016. He has been instrumental within the greater community by serving as a chaplain for youth corrections, assisting the Boulder Police Department with oral board interviews as a member of the Mayor's Community Partner Panel when selecting a new Boulder Police Chief. And he has been recognized with the Boulder County Multicultural Award for his service and leadership. We also thank Reverend Ray for his service to our country and to all of us as he has honorably served as a Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army. Please welcome Father and Reverend James Ray.
Let us pray. Oh, bless God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, you, dear God, who are inexpressibly glorious in your holiness, and you're worthy of all of our honor, all of our trust, all of our confidence and our praise. You are the one and only living and true God, and besides you, there is no other. Oh God, creator of humankind, we give glory to you for the works of your mighty hand. Oh God, we give glory to you today for the diversity displayed by all the beautiful people assembled here today. Oh God, we give glory to you for the unity and peace among all the beautiful people assembled here today. Oh God, we give glory to you for the work, the service, and love carried out by those we will celebrate this evening and commemorate and honor on this day. Oh God, we give glory to you for the life, the love, and the legacy and the hope of your servant and prophet, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oh God, we give glory to you for all the acts of love and compassion and mercy and justice which flows from you and through all who serve the poor, the needy, the marginalized, and the oppressed. Oh God, we give glory to you as the great author of love and justice and salvation. Oh God, we give thanks to you for enabling us to love deeper, to think higher thoughts, and to take on great and meaningful projects in your name and by your strength. Oh God, every heart is humbled by the fact that every breath that we will take, every song that we will sing, every smile that we will share, every dance we will perform is a testimony to your grace. Oh God, grant us your joy, your shalom, as we share in fellowship as brothers and sisters of the human race. Thank you, God Almighty, for your great grace being manifested in this space. And it is in the matchless, mighty, marvelous, precious, prevailing, preeminent name of Jesus Christ that this pastor and your servant prays. Amen.
I'm going to ask if Mayor Aaron Brockett would make his way up here with us. There you are. Aaron Brockett was elected mayor of Boulder in 2019 and has wholly committed himself to the betterment of all citizens and serves on the following council committees, intergovernmental organizations: Metro Mayors Caucus, Northwest Mayors and Commissioners Coalition, State Highway 119 Coalition, Internal City Committees, Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Guiding Coalition for Racial Equality, Sister City Liaison, Jalapa, Nicaragua. Welcome, Mayor Brockett. He's going to issue our proclamation as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. I said, good afternoon, everyone. What an honor it is to be here today and to welcome you to the city of Boulder for this phenomenal occasion. And look at all of you. What a joy and a pleasure it is to see all of these happy, smiling faces and here for such an important event. Thank you for being here with us today. I also want to thank my city council colleague, Nicole Spear, who's with us, as well as the chair of the CU Board of Regents, Nancy Smith, who's also here with us, and Tara Weiner, also from the City Council over here. Thank you all for being here and representing us. So it is now my honor to read a proclamation here in honor of the day. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 16th, 2023. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all people to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. The King Holiday and Service Act, enacted in 1994, designated the King Holiday as a national day of volunteer service. Since then, millions of people have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. King to serve their neighbors and communities on this holiday. Dr. King led the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott, and in 1957, he became the first president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. While serving as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, he helped to organize the nonviolent 1963 protests in Birmingham, Alabama. And he helped organize the 1963 March on Washington, where he delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. On October 14th, 1964, Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolent resistance. And in 1965, he helped organize the Selma to Montgomery marches. And in 1966, he and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference took the movement to Chicago, Illinois, to protest segregated housing. During his final years, he expanded his focus to include opposition towards poverty and the Vietnam War. In a career of opposition, promoting peace and nonviolence was a hallmark of his approach. He leaned into empathy and diplomacy to cultivate change and resolution. His teachings and contributions are immortalized in this day, and the legacy of his work serves as a catalyst, inspiring more and more people to carry the torch in addressing current challenges in our communities. So therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Boulder, Colorado, declare January 16th, 2023 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we urge our fellow community members to help celebrate the spirit of this day by seeking out and acting on opportunities for service in your community. Thank you for that. And then I'll just take one more moment. It won't take long. I don't know if any of you have heard Dr. Rabaka speak, but our keynote speaker here today is going to be a treat for all of you. I very much look forward to his remarks and all the other wonderful things we're going to hear. But as some of you, I think, know, my wife was hit by a car a couple of days ago while walking our dog in our neighborhood. And thank goodness she's going to be all right. No permanent damage. We had a scary night in the emergency room, but she's going to be fine. I'm so grateful for the outpouring of support from the community since that happened. But it's a reminder of the fragility of life. We get those reminders all too often, and a call to hug your loved ones, but not just to keep your loved ones close, it's a call to action. There is so much injustice in this world. And this is a reminder that we do not have unlimited time to fight that injustice. So when you see that problem in your community, when you see that injustice in the world, take action on it today, because you may not have tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Brockett. For our occasion and purpose, it's my pleasure to introduce the following. Annette James is a mother, speaker, and an advocate for social and economic equality. She's the president of the NAACP Boulder County branch, a native of rural Mississippi. She found her way to Boulder, Colorado to study at the University of Colorado and has lived in Boulder since. Annette has always had a passion for education, economics, and business. These interests have bloomed during her studies. She was a member of the Black Student Alliance and supported the First Nations Committee. They were the catalyst to her membership in multiple nonprofit organizations throughout Colorado, on boards including the Family Learning Center and Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. She's a former chair of the United Black Women of Boulder Valley. She worked to promote the educational, economic, political, and social welfare of Black people throughout Boulder Valley. Annette helped to found the Joan Washington Scholarship Fund, which provided a monetary stipend to Black high school graduates from Boulder and St. Vrain Valley school districts, and the Charles and Mildred Nylon Scholarship, which is awarded to a student who is majoring in education at the University of Colorado and plans to teach in diverse schools. Please welcome Annette James. Annette is joined by Glenda Robinson, our co-host today. Glenda has received the Longmont Mayor's Community Positive Impact Award. The City of Longmont, Colorado, and Silver Creek High School's Leadership Academy have honored Ms. Robinson for her service to our community and to our children. The Mayor and City Council of the City of Longmont, Colorado issued a proclamation honoring Ms. Robinson as founder of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s week-long celebration that acknowledges her work and the commitment to maintaining Dr. King's dream. She serves as the executive committee member and historian of the NAACP Boulder County branch. Recently, in the past week, Glenda was recognized by the Colorado Commission on Celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King and received a Lifetime Achievement Award for her work and involvement in social justice, promoting ideals of inclusivity, celebration of Dr. King's messages, and for her preservation of history in accordance with educating others upon Dr. King's vision and his legacy. And to further her legacy, she is featured at the Smithsonian African American Museum in a photo that depicts her supporting the Sanitation Workers March in Memphis, Tennessee. Our lifelong advocates here beside me and heroes for social and racial justice, heroes for economic equality, and champions for education. Won't you please welcome both Glenda Robinson and Annette James.
Hello. Thank you for joining Boulder County NAACP members, allies, friends, and community. Your presence here this afternoon is evidence that you hold interest in crafting community. Community as envisioned by the audacious legacy of a king. NAACP, 2 million plus strong, is working so that all of us may realize the dream that disrupts inequality, the dream that dismantles racism, awakening to a new morning, not frightened by equality, but cherishes human unity. The work of the NAACP, like the work of Dr. King, is to expand the opportunity for all people to thrive. Dr. King worked to secure voting rights. NAACP works to defend voting rights. Dr. King called for an end to police brutality. NAACP calls for uniformed police, prosecutorial, and incarceration reforms. Dr. King asked us not to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice which make philanthropy necessary. NAACP advocates for closing the wealth gap through fair and equitable economies. This audacious legacy is replete with enlightenment. The work's reason is clearly revealed in an address that Dr. King gave to the North Carolina State Conference of the NAACP in 1960, and I quote, "The primary reason for uprooting racial discrimination is that It is morally wrong, unquote. Onward together. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Those of you who know me as a preacher, and I usually take liberties. My comments are going to be very brief. I know you find that hard to believe. But I want to say happy birthday, Dr. Martin Luther King. Today, as I said, I think earlier, would have been his 94th birthday. And actually, it's today, January 15th, 1929. He was killed on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, now the National Civil Rights Museum, in Memphis on April 4th, 1968. That was 55 years ago, and I could not believe that I was there, but I was. And so I'm honored to talk about this man who stood for social justice. And so everything that comes from this day should be centered around the work that he did for freedom, because freedom is not free. He worked tirelessly to build that beloved community that he always talked about. His work tirelessly to accomplish freedom and justice for all men, Black men and white men and Jews and Gentiles and Protestants and Catholics and little Black boys, little Black girls, all so that we could have that beloved community. Dr. King stood for justice, unity, and most of all, for love. This love is a strength not our own, a power greater than us, and somebody bigger than you and I. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Events like this don't happen. It takes months in the making. Much planning goes into it. Many people are involved. And there's a lot of financial contributors as well as organizers that help to assure that we can hold events like today. And also, you can join us tomorrow at Silver Creek High School as we go on to the other side of Boulder County and celebrate Dr. King's work with our program beginning at 10 a.m., also our children's program beginning at 9 a.m. that day.
The principal.
In my spare time, thank you. In my spare time, I serve as the principal of Silver Creek High School here in Boulder County. And my wife and I have raised two children here in Boulder County as well, one 16 and one 18, who recently has gone on to college. So that being said, we'd like to thank the following for their incredible support and their direction, and also their organization, their talents, and the many things that they've done to contribute to make today a success, tomorrow a success. And we'd like to first thank our Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee. And won't our committee members please stand at this time? If you've served on this committee this year, please stand. And thank you for the work that you've done. And for many years, the Longmont Multicultural Action Committee has been a primary sponsor of this event, and we'd like to thank LMAC for their incredible support of this. We'd like to thank the City of Longmont for their support, Lexmark for all of our printed publications that we receive and we've used today and through the many events that we've held in years past. We'd also like to thank the Boulder County NAACP branch. Thank you for your contributions to assuring our success today and for carrying on the dream. And thank you, Annette, for your address and reminding us that we will work together. We'd like to thank the City of Boulder Human Relations Commission for their generous support, Silver Creek High School for all the things that they've done with the Leadership Academy and their children, as well as their programming to support us. We'd like to thank Boulder County, St. Vrain Valley Schools, a special thank you for hosting the event Sunday in Boulder. We'd like to thank the Jewish Community Center for that, and for all that they've done to host us today in kind. We'd like to thank Second Baptist Church, as well as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for your contributions in support of this program. We'd like to thank former Mayor of Longmont, Brian Bagley, the Boulder Arts Commission, the Museum of Boulder at the Tesso Center, Boulder County Commissioners that are here in attendance. Do we have commissioners that are here in attendance today? All right. We'd like to thank the commissioners. They have proven time and again to be incredible supporters of this program. We'd like to thank the Boulder Valley School District, and also a very special thank you to Eric Hozempa and the Longmont Community Foundation for all that they have done. We also have several elected officials. Mayor Brockett addressed us earlier today. Thank you, Mayor. We'd like to thank, again, the Boulder County Commissioners. Without their financial support, the program would not be possible. We'd also like to thank Raleigh and Josie Heath, who are likely here in attendance today. Thank you. As well as Dorothy Rupert for your continuing and lasting legacy in supporting our programming. And at this time, may I have anyone who is currently serving as an elected official, or anyone that has previously served as an elected official within Boulder County, Boulder Valley Schools, St. Vrain Valley Schools. If you have served in the capacity of an elected official, commissioner, city council person, please stand at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the many hours that you've contributed to assuring that his dream continues to thrive in our communities here in Boulder County.
So, thank you, Eric. And I'm going to invite the Spirituals Project to start making their way up. Did you hear them warming up? And just, I love that bottom, that bass, that just brings it all together. And so as they're making their way up our way, I would like to tell you a little bit about them. They're incredible. The Spirituals Project from the University of Denver are dedicated to preserving, uplifting, performing, encouraging, and educating audiences around the world about spirituals that are representative of the African American culture. Throughout the civil rights movement, music played an integral role in communicating and sharing the messages of hope, unity, and love. Many civil rights songs are representative of spirituals. The power of music as a universal language was highlighted frequently by Dr. King and shared by those finding hope and strength to carry on in the midst of the most challenging times. And I can certainly testify to that. When you are beaten or you got dogs and hoses on you, and all you can do is lock arms and sing, "I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land." That gave us that strength to carry on. Often prior to a speech, a march, or in closing, music gave a voice and strength to those in the face of adversity as they dedicated their lives to Dr. King's dream. It is a pleasure to welcome the founder of the University of Denver Spirituals Project, Dr. Arthur C. Jones, who has Dr. Jones has served as professor within DU, supporting the Spirituals Project, the Lamont School of Music, the Psychology Department, and the Women's College. He currently serves as Professor Emeritus of Music, Culture, and Psychology. Joining him today is Professor M. Roger Holland II. Professor Holland. Professor Holland is a teaching assistant in music, in religion, and the director of the Spirituals Project at the Lamont School of Music at the University of Denver. Also joining in collaboration and support is Alicia Whitmore, who serves as an assistant professor of ethnomusiology, a big word, and the faculty affiliate from the Lamont School of Music at the University of Denver. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Spirituals Project. You're in for a treat.
So because of time constraints, I won't go into a deep explanation and contextual of what that song can mean to the enslaved community. But suffice to say, it is a prayer. It is a prayer. And I like to start, when we start sharing this music, with prayer. But let me stay on point, because there's so much I'd like to say and share, but I'm trying to, like Minister Rhymes, I'm trying to restrict my comments so I can stay on task here. So this next song, Come Out the Wilderness, it depicts, a lot of the spirituals have this deep imagery. And the imagery, or the image of the wilderness, conveys for the enslaved community what it meant to, or they're thinking perhaps about what it meant for Jesus to spend 40 days and nights in the wilderness as he prepared for his earthly ministry. And the wilderness signified the theme of conversion. So as one would come into the Christian religion, and let us be clear, not all of the enslaved converted to Christianity, but many did. And for those who did, it was a conversion experience, yeah? Now, a key component to the music of the spirituals is antiphonal singing, or call and response, if you will. And so at this moment, I want to teach you the response to this song. So yes, I'm expecting that you're going to sing. So if you would, please, repeat after me and do this. And I'm going to give it to you just like I want it. So be quick, everybody. Come out the wilderness. 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 I like you. Very quick. You have to come to all of my concerts, all of our concerts. The last line, leaning on the Lord. Go. Leaning on the Lord. That's your part. Feel free to join in everything else. Tell me, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Come out the wilderness. Come out the wilderness. Tell me, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Leaning on the Lord. I am leaning. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. Who died on Calvary. Did you get baptized when you come out the wilderness? Come out the wilderness. Come out the wilderness. Did you get baptized when you come out the wilderness? Leaning on the Lord. I am leaning. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. Who died on Calvary. Did your soul feel happy when you come out the wilderness? Come out the wilderness. Come out the wilderness. Did your soul feel happy when you come out the wilderness? Leaning on the Lord. I am leaning. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. Who died on Calvary. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord. I am leaning on the Lord who died on Calvary. Wonderful. I heard you singing. So we rehearse on Monday nights at the University of Denver, 7 o'clock. See me after. We'll hook you up. This next piece, now, so much of the Negro spirituals get their text, or at least their inspiration, from biblical, the stories in the Bible, the scripture. And I wonder if perhaps one person, a group of people heard Psalm 23, where the Bible says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Yeah? So the enslaved community dealt with a lot. There were a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of hardship, a lot of abuse. Huh? You didn't know what you were going to face when you woke up in the morning. Every morning was fraught with new dangers and hardships and harshness. So I wonder if while they were dealing with all of that, maybe one morning somebody woke up and said, sorry. We shall shall walk through the valley in peace. If Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace. We shall walk through the valley in peace. We shall walk through the valley in peace. Jesus. If Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace. Come on, won't you sing that with us? We shall walk. We shall walk through the valley in peace. We shall walk through the valley in peace. If Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace. There will be no sorrow there. There will be no sorrow there. There will be no sorrow there. If Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace. There will be no dying there. There will be no dying there. There will be no dying there. If Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace. And sometimes you just don't have any words, so you can hum along. If Jesus prominent figure in the history of slavery was one of our major conductors of the Underground Railroad. Some people called her Moses. If that didn't give you a clue. Another name was Harriet Tubman. She led so many slaves to freedom. And one of the other images of that time, the antebellum South, in this music of the Negro spirituals, were these images of transportation, conveyance, certainly a railroad, huh? So get on board, children, get on board, little children, get on board, right? The gospel train is a-coming. But another mode of transportation was boat and chariot. And this next song, associated with Harriet Tubman, the old ship of Zion, certainly on the surface, there's a literal meaning of going to heaven. But if you listen carefully enough, it might be a clue that the Underground Railroad is in your neighborhood. Selena Gilbert is coming at this time.
Tis the old ship of Zion. Tis the old ship of Zion. Get on board. Get on board. It has landed, my old mother. It has landed, my old mother. It has landed, my old mother. Get on board, get on board. It has landed, my old father. It has landed, my old father. It has landed, my old father. Get on board, get on board. It will take you home to heaven. It will take you home to heaven. It will take you home to heaven. Get on board, get on board. Tis the old ship of Zion. Tis the old ship of Zion. Tis the old
particularly during the time of COVID. Well, let me say this first. This music is timeless because it speaks to the humanity and the human existential reality, Dr. Rebecca, in all of us, yeah? And so when we found ourselves in the midst of COVID, we found solace, and I'm talking about we, the Spirituals Project community, found solace in this music. And in one particular moment, when I felt myself even a little discouraged, because COVID is hard, y'all. And we're not out of it yet. We're not there, but we're making our way out. I felt that I needed to be encouraged, and as a leader, I needed to encourage my folks. And this song came to mind. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
Hold on just a little while longer. Oh, hold on just a little while longer. Oh, hold on just a little while longer. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right. Fight on just a little while longer. Oh, fight on just a little while longer. Oh, fight on just a little while longer. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right. Pray on just a little while longer. Oh, pray on just a little while longer. Oh, pray on just a little while longer. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right.
So sing
Sing on just a little while longer. Oh, sing on just a little while longer. Oh, sing on just a little while longer. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right. Oh, everything will be all right.
For all the gospel fans out there, Donald Lawrence said, sometimes you just got to encourage yourself. So we'd like to conclude this portion of sharing with you with a spiritual that most likely was created towards the end or right after slavery, after the Civil War had been fought. Because there came a point where the enslaved thought to themselves, you know what, enough is enough. And I'm not going to do this anymore. And I refuse to be a slave. Before I'd be a slave, I tell you what, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and what? Be free.
Wow, just wow, just wow. Another round of applause for the Spirituals Project.
I did not know I was going to be taken there today. But I'm along for the ride. My goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was incredible. Thank you. just as Dr. King was an angel to many, and he committed his life to bettering others' lives, we have many among us today that have contributed to the betterment of our communities through their selfless sacrifice and also through their service. There are stories throughout our communities that we must lift up, all of us, and cherish and share with another generation as they step forward. They serve as examples to others. And Dr. King lifted up the issues of civil rights, of voting rights, and of economic equality. Many here today have given selflessly to support others within our community and beyond. And just as Dr. King had shown a way forward, our living legend and our Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Mrs. Inez Buggs, has too. It is our great pleasure to share with you today the story of Mrs. Inez Buggs, her inspiration and support that she has provided throughout the Boulder County and throughout Boulder for many, many years, upon which many others have followed in her footsteps and to this day carry forward the work that she has started.
So after this video, Inez Davis Buggs, this is your life.
Mrs. Inez Davis Buggs, friend of mine, it's my honor to celebrate you as our living legend. And more importantly, just to sit and have a casual chat with you as we look back over your life.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to receive this recognition. I am Clinica's first medical provider. Before 1977, there was a group of community people who were meeting and talking about how to provide local health care. There was a woman, Alice Sanchez, who was out in the trenches, driving people Denver to Boulder to wherever she could get patients seen, because there were a lot of people who did not have insurance. There were some doctors in Lafayette that would see patients who had that type of compassion, but not on a large scale. As far as I can remember, and my memory starts about age 5, I always wanted to fix something on somebody. If it was a toenail or a hangnail, if I had wind about it, I wanted to try and make it better. I think that was placed in me from the spirit. It wasn't something that I was exposed to. We did not have the privilege of having frequent doctor visits and seeing medical people to shadow them. I grew up in East Texas in the era of segregation. In high school, I went out in the hallway for some reason, and there this person walking down the hall, all dressed in white. I was just totally blown away, not knowing that there was a black nurse in the real world. It reinforced my desire that I wanted to be a registered nurse. I'm the youngest of 6 children of Caesar and Sarah Davis. They were sharecroppers when I was younger. And to think how their mobility allowed me to achieve my dream is a hats off to them. So after graduating from high school in Dallas, my mother was already in Boulder, Colorado. She worked as a housekeeper for a wealthy family that moved here from Texas. The wife of this wealthy family asked me if I wanted to go to college. And I said yes. So I enrolled at CU Boulder campus. I didn't do well socially or psychologically because my environment was not integrated. My whole world was African American. So it was very uncomfortable being in a classroom with a white teacher, white classmates, because what I experienced growing up was much negativity. I withdrew because I did not want to flunk out and went to Emily Griffith Opportunity School to become an LPN, licensed practical nurse. I did that, and I kept saying to Wilfred, my husband, you know, I want to be an RN. That has been my dream. And he says, well, if you're going to do it, go do it and stop talking about it. We had 3 children. I was 34 years old. I enrolled at CU. Wilfred took over basically managing the family, not knowing how to cook. It was quite a challenge, but we managed. They were all born here. And we could still see some prejudice and issues that happened through our children. So we had to teach them who they were and encourage them in spite of.
They all probably attended Boulder High,
Yes,
I
they
presume.
did.
I remember that Sarah was voted the homecoming queen.
Right, the first African American
Right.
in the late 70s. As a student of the School of Nursing, I noticed a bulletin board at the Public Health Department in Boulder, and it had a note saying the community of Lafayette wanted to start a health clinic providing care to the underserved population. No one applied but me. Well, I worked there with 6 people at the beginning, and it grew exponentially over the 30 years from one clinic at 100 Cleveland Avenue, a little house, to now 5 clinics. We created a sliding fee scale. If you don't have the income coming in, we still create a way that your issues can be addressed. In 1978, I worked days and went to school at night and got my nurse practitioner certifications. It allowed me to be that intermediary provider where I could migrate that person into a higher level of care to a physician or consult with another nurse practitioner or a PA. So the volume of patients that I was able to provide was instrumental. It was not a job, it was just what I did. I don't think I had a day that I didn't want to go to work. And there was a lot going on in the exam rooms, not only medical talk. It was the time to listen to their stories, be a friend. I attended funerals, quinceañeras. I felt more like I was a part of the inner circle of the community rather than an outsider. Before I retired from there, I had taken care of 3 generations of families. If I had not opened up and was willing to initiate conversation or interactions, I would have been one of those closed-minded people that all people are like what I experienced when I was growing up. And I have some very wonderful people in my life. God used me as the vessel over the last 30 years of work at Clinica. If you have a dream, pursue it. If you settle, then that's what you're gonna get.
I want to say, Inez, congratulations and thank you for all of the many contributions that you've made to our beloved community. So proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Well, they're all standing for you. Inez Davis Buggs. Inez has been an usher at Second Baptist for how many years?
50-something.
50-something years. My friend, my sister from another mister, the Boulder County 2023 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee presents the Lifetime Achievement Award to Mrs. Inez Davis Buggs as a trailblazer and a living legend who has dedicated her life to making and preserving history. Presented by Minister Glenda Strong Robinson, the chair and founder of the Boulder County Martin Luther King 2023 Planning Committee.
Thank you.
That's for you. I'm gonna give you the back. You got something to say?
Just a little.
Oh. She wanna talk.
I would just like to say that when Glenda called and advised me that I had been selected, I said, oh, how did that happen? And then after hearing it, I called her back and said, did you get that information correct? She said yes. So I would just like to thank the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee and my home church, Second Baptist, and the NAACP of Boulder County for nominating me to receive this prestigious. I am grateful and I am humbled to have been selected. On this journey of life, people are placed in our lives to come along and assist us. I would just like to take a few minutes to name a few of those people who came alongside me and assisted me along my journey. You may recognize some of the names. Alice Sanchez, Pauline Romano, Joanna Savarese, the Lafayette Police Department, Patty Matterson, Eleanor Montour, Pete Garcia, the Honorable Senator Tim Wirth from Colorado, Emma Garcia, Pete Liebig and Simon Smith, Doctors Carolyn Shepard, Howard Wolf, William Salter, and Paul Mackel. The migrant workers who prepared food for us after finishing clinic on site at the migrant camps. Last but not least, my Clinica family. I would like to leave this quote with you from Dr. Martin Luther King. Somewhere along the way, we must learn there is nothing greater than to do something for others. Thank you.
Okay.
Once again, congratulations and thank you for the many lives that you have impacted positively. We'd like to welcome Professor Nyarma Soa, who currently serves as the Associate Teaching Professor and Co-Director of Graduate Studies in Dance at the University of Colorado. After graduating from the University of Ghana's School of Performing Arts, his career has taken him throughout the world, where he has conducted residencies and taught master classes from California to Boston, from Johannesburg to Tanzania, from Ethiopia to Colorado. Professor Soa believes that dance is a fundamental human right and facilitates his experiences to make dance available for everyone. Won't you please join me in welcoming Professor Soa?
Hello, everyone. I was invited to dance. I'm like, to dance for people to watch me? I retired from that over 20, 30 years ago. I got somewhere in my career where I realized that dance is medicine. Dancing is medicine. Yeah? And truth is, no one can take your medicine for you. So I decided to stop dancing for people and to engage people in dancing. Yeah? Dancing is like social justice work. It is like racial justice work. It's a practice. It is a marathon. It is not sprint. And we have to keep practicing. So the key words that bring me here today are practice, engagement, endurance, faith that we're going to finish this race. A few years ago, I read some quotes from Martin Luther King, and the quotes were so applicable to today. I believe that was during George Floyd's time. The quote was as if they were written recently. What that tells us is that even though we have come far, there is still work to do, because this is a marathon. It's as if you're running or you're driving to Vail, and you drive after 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, you still see that green sign. It says Vail. And they put a number there. You drive an hour later, Vail. Yeah? That is social justice work. And I am humbled and honored to be standing here in front of you, because I believe every one of you is a social justice warrior. You are the choir. I'm not here to preach to you, but to invite you to believe, invite you to engage and continue the movement. Yeah? Yeah? Engagement. It is not a spectator sport. So, I'm not going to dance for you, but I'm going to ask you to join me in shaking it up. Yeah? Yeah? Thank you. So, I like everything I do to be accessible. So, I'm not thinking of the youngest and the best. I'm thinking of everybody. In that regard, I'm going to do stuff that everybody can do. Who can walk here? Who can move? Who can speak? If you qualify, please get up. Yes, something simple. I'm going to do call and response as we do in Africa. Our songs are not just sound. They are physical. They are emotional. They are spiritual. They are social. It's fully engaging, right? So I'm going to teach you a quick thing. When I say tubo, tubo, you respond to tubo. Ready? Tubo, tubo. Tubo, tubo. Okay. Now, pretend as if you are engaged. And I'm speaking to this. Yeah? Ready? Tubo, tubo. Tubo, tubo. Now, everybody can say that, right? Say it like you want to. Ready? Tubo, 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 tubo. When I say sasa, you say sa. Sasa. I love it. I see some people doing what I'm doing. It means you are awake. Ready? Tubo, 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 sasa, 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 sa. The next part, you respond, tuma yele yele. Just remember, fake it. Ready? Tuma yele yele. Ready? Go. Once more. Please loosen your knees a little bit. Tuma yele yele. Ready? Go. Satuma. Tuma yele yele. Satuma. Satuma. Tuma yele yele. When I say saboko, you say boko bush. Saboko. Saboko. Oh, saboko. Boko bush. 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 Saboko. Boko bush. Saboko. Boko bush. Oh, saboko. Boko bush. 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 You got it. So in this dance, we provide the soundtrack. So we're working on the soundtrack, and we move on to the next one, right? So tubo, 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 sasa, 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 sa. Okay, please. Yeah, yeah. I want to feel your body is part of your voice. Ready? Tubo, 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 sasa, 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 satuma, tuma, yele, yele, satuma, 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 saboko, boko, bush, saboko, oh, saboko, bush, 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 saboko, boko, bush. Saboko, boko, bush. Oh, saboko, boko, bush. Bush, bush, bush. You got it. Ready? Okay, now I'd like you to take this stance, if you can. And I want you to do this for me. Now, as you bounce, I want you to pretend you have a spine that is not got metal in it, but it's got joints and it's bouncing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. I like the smiles. Here we go. Now, I want you to give me this. Point your right across. And then try your left across. Are you sitting? And then pretend your body is kind of nimble. And then, yeah. And then, now as you point, you sit. And then you come up, and then you sit. You come up, you sit. Tuba, 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 sasa, 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 satuma, tuma, yele, yele, satuma, 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 saboko, boko, bush, saboko, oh, saboko, bush, 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 saboko, boko, bush, saboko, boko, oh, saboko, boko, bush, 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 so, boy, hey. So, in my life, I have met a few people who tell me, I don't remember the last time I danced. Because I'm an adult. I don't dance, I'm not a dancer. Yeah? When did that start? So when I think of social justice, when I think of racial justice, some people feel that racism and racial justice is something you talk about with the police. It's something you talk about with the racist KKK. It's something you talk about with, you know what I'm saying? It's there. But as a black person, and like many black folks I know, the racism we experience doesn't always come from the police. Sometimes it's in our churches. Sometimes it's in our workplaces. Sometimes in our classrooms. Sometimes with our friends. Racism is pervasive invasive, and it is with all of us. The work of undoing racism, like I said, is a marathon. And it is a practice that we have to practice every day. Every one of us, every day engaging in undoing it in ourselves. But until we recognize where it lives, we cannot get rid of it. Because we're marching. We are writing to the governor. But sometimes it's right here. Yeah? I'm inviting all of us to imagine that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We have to do it from right here, every day. Yeah? 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 And sometimes when a lot of big things happen, we freak out and we are like, this is too much. I don't know what to do anymore. Please, let us not give up. Because we are celebrating Martin Luther King today. We are. Because he did not give up. He pushed to the end. But as we celebrate him, we look at him as a model of the end, or where we need to be facing, the direction we should be going. And we need not be weary. Together we can. Yes, we can if we work together. Yeah? I'm going to help us do something right now to encourage us. Because in our cultures, when warriors, when communities get to points of breaking, when you feel like giving up, we use songs and movement to galvanize us to move, to continue moving. Yeah? I'm going to share one of those with you. And again, I'm not going to perform it. We're going to do it together. This song says, waya, waya. It means we are going, we are marching. And we sing this when we need courage, when we need inspiration. Waya, 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 waya. Ready? Okay, so I'm going to give you the tune, your part. Waya, 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 waya. Once more. Waya, 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 waya. Waya, 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 waya. Once more. Waya, waya. Waya, 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 waya. I want you to imagine you are on a protest and your leaders all got captured, and you come back and your whole home places of residence have been ransacked, and you're out in the street and you're scared. In moments like that, somebody starts this song and we start coalescing, we start coming together. Before long, we are a new force. That is what this is about. We need not give up. We need to continue. So this is what we're going to do. I want us to do this. Point. Go. Point. Step. Over. Commit. Forward. Boom. Waya, waya. Waya, waya. Fake it. Waya, waya. Waya. Hey, waya. Hey, waya, waya. Waya. Hey, waya. Waya. Hey, waya, waya. Waya. Hey, waya. Waya. Together, why forward ever, we are marching forward, why for freedom, hey, why united we stand, oh, why divided we follow, hey, why, hey, hey, why, hey, why, Hey, waya, women and men, oh. Hey, whatever you identify. Hey, waya, waya, hey. Waya, waya, hey. Hey, waya, waya, hey. Waya, waya, hey. Thank you. 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 Keep on keeping. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sola. And together we'll keep going forward. Last year, we had an honoree here that's going to speak for a moment, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Wyndham. And Dr. Wyndham has contributed his life's work to helping others and promoting education in both social sciences and science. He has served as the president of the Boulder Valley School District School Board. He has chaired the CU Conference on World Affairs. He is a member of the Boulder Dairy Arts Center Selection Committee for the Bedecker Path to Excellence Arts Grants Program and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People Boulder County, where he serves on the executive committee and co-chairs the task force on post-secondary education. In 2022, Dr. Wyndham was recognized by the Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee as a Living Legend and Lifetime Achievement Award. And it's our pleasure at this time to welcome Dr. Wyndham here to introduce our keynote speaker today. Welcome, Dr.
Waya, waya. Waya, waya. When Glenda invited me to introduce our keynote speaker, I said, well, what's the program? I asked that in order to put together some remarks that would blend his outstanding career and accomplishments and contributions with the content of the program. And she politely said, well, his resume's in the program. You can read that. Or you know him personally, you can just talk. Raylan Rabaka is the founder and director of the Center for African and African Studies and professor of African American and Caribbean Studies in the Department of Ethnic Studies. He's also a musician. So in his spirit, of keeping in his spirit, I turned on a little Max Roach this morning and listened to Freedom Song and Freedom Suite. Max Roach is a percussionist. Dr. Raylan Rabaka is a percussionist. Max Roach also talked about community. Dr. Raylan Rabaka not only is talking about community, but is building community up at the University of Colorado in the position of founder of the Center for African and African American Studies. He understands community as a way of life of bringing people together so people can express themselves, find themselves, and be themselves in order to make a contribution to others and to the world, which is certainly in the spirit of Dr. King. We also heard this afternoon one of the quotes of Dr. King, that is, one is really cooking, right? That's a cooking jazz word, that one is really cooking when one is cooking for others. And we know in the community, when you sit down, when you go to someone's house, you know you go in and you go, sit down, fix yourself a plate. That's what cooking is. Dr. Rabaka also works to expand opportunity for all people who he interacts with, and all people, particularly at the University of Colorado. We heard the words audacious. We heard the words legacy. Dr. Rabaka is audacious and is continuing the legacy of those whose shoulders he stands on. He is helping others, particularly students at the University of Colorado, build community, and as we heard in the song this afternoon, come out of the wilderness. So as we come out of the wilderness, we understand what also Dr. King said. He said, well, what did he say? He said that the time is always right to do the right thing. Got that right. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Professor, founder of the Center for African and African American Studies. Before bringing him on here, I got to say something. One of the things that Dr. King did was he served as a role model. He served as a role model in what his words were, a drum major for justice. And Dr. King demonstrated that you can walk through the valley and raise hell. And raise hell while flying with the angels. I want to introduce someone who can raise hell and fly with the angels. My friend, scholar, director of the Center for African and African American Studies, Professor Dr. Good Brother Raylan Robaka.
Boulder, I'm back. Listen, thank you so much for that eloquent introduction. My mentor, my brother, my friend, Dr. Thomas Wyndham. Thank you. I feel so full right now. I don't want to mess up these nice people's program. I feel so good. And for those of y'all who, like me, believe in the power of prayer, I solicit your support. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know why I'm up here. I think we should just go home because it's been so beautiful. It has been so beautiful. I'm a professor, so I need to roll call just for a few seconds before I get into my lecture. Minister Glenda Robinson, thank you is too weak a word for me to try to express to you right now, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Thank you. NAACP, Boulder County, I love you. I wouldn't be here, wouldn't be able to do the work I do without you supporting me, inspiring me. A shout out to my sister, my friend, President James, right? This new center is about building a bridge from the campus to the community. And the NAACP, our very first community partners who, before the center was even approved, you all were right there with me. Thank you. And then I need to shout out some of my partners in crime on the campus who are all here, my Amen corner, right here on the front row with me. Chancellor DeStefano, Phil DeStefano is right here, front row. Please, please, please. Chancellor of the University of Colorado, Boulder. I also have my dear brother and friend, President of the University of Colorado System, Todd Solomon. And everybody, my boss is in the house, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Glenn Kreutz. This is called Love, Justice, and Martin Luther King's Dream. Subtitle, Building the Beloved Community in the 21st Century. We all rise and we all fall. And someday we will all have to answer the Master's call. He was a messenger. and he diligently did his duty, a messenger helping us to remember, to rescue and reclaim our humanity. Can I get a witness to a life lived like a lamb and a lion? Bear witness, if you will, to a soul bound for Zion. Do we have audio issues? We good? We good? Okay. I just, like for my, I'm a musician. I want to make sure my mic sounds nice. Huh? Y'all with me? I'm about to get started. Woo!
You sound great. We just want to be able to see you.
Okay, baby. Okay, you know what? I put on my church clothes today. Check this out. I'm finna get right into it. When I was a child in the projects, I used to think that Martin Luther King was the only famous and powerful person who cared about me. During my childhood, I saw all of these pictures and documentaries of him talking to, hugging, and even playing with little loved ones who not only looked like me, but they also lived in abject poverty. To me, Martin Luther King was a superhero. Not because he was faster than a speeding bullet, or more powerful than a locomotive, or able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Nah, he was a superhero to me because he cared about the kids nobody cared about, and because he used his voice to turn people's attention to destitute and downtrodden people's lives and struggles. I used to think the kids in the suburbs had Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, and the kids in the projects, poor people's kids, we had Martin Luther King. He was my childhood superhero, and as I transitioned from childhood to adulthood, from the projects to the professorate, he evolved into one of my spiritual, intellectual, and political idols. Martin Luther King's dream developed in the midst of the civil rights movement. Many African Americans had fought and died in the Second World War, and this historical fact made the majority of Southern African Americans increasingly reluctant to resign themselves to their second-class status in American society. Inspired by the struggles against colonialism in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and by the United States' claim to be the leader of the free world, the Southern black masses rose up against the fear of segregationist violence and economic retaliation and let the world know that Black America was ready to strike a blow for freedom. First came the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955. It was followed by the sit-ins in 1960, the Freedom Rides in 1961, the Albany Movement in 1961, the Birmingham Campaign in 1963, and the Great March on Washington in 1963, and many other demonstrations throughout the South. The myth of a peaceful South with contented black folk was shattered as African Americans by the thousands proudly protested, militantly marched, faced high-pressure fire hoses, the snarling fangs of police dogs, billy club beatings, jailings, shootings, lynchings, burning crosses, and the Ku Klux Klan. Without a politically awakened Black America willing to organize and risk their lives for freedom, there would be no fertile soil for Dr. King to have developed his dream. Perhaps more than any other person, past or present, Black or white, Martin Luther King proclaimed and lived the American dream, the idea that all people, regardless of race, class, religion, or nationality, are created equal and are therefore entitled to even-handed justice under the law and social respect under the customs that govern daily behavior. The idea of the American dream dominated King's perspective. When he spoke in theological terms, he referred to it as the beloved community of Black folk and white folk living together, working together, praying together, and struggling for freedom together. knowing that no one is free until all are free. He expressed again and again his continuous and deepening belief that black folk and white folk must work together to create a compassionate and democratic America. He believed that each generation has a special contribution to make to American democracy. And that is one of the reasons he was deeply disappointed by the direction the United States took after the March on Washington. Despite all the attention that has been given to his I Have a Dream speech, it is important for us to acknowledge that the situation in America became so bleak and so bad after the March on Washington that Martin Luther King himself declared that his dream had become a nightmare. For example, in December 1967, shortly before he was assassinated, Dr. King declared, and I quote, "In 1963 in Washington, D.C., I tried to talk to the nation about a dream I had had. And I must confess that not long after talking about that dream, I started seeing it turn into a nightmare just a few weeks after I had talked about it. It was when 4 beautiful little black girls were murdered in a Birmingham church. I watched that dream turn into a nightmare as I moved through the ghettos of the nation and saw black brothers and sisters perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. And I saw the nation doing nothing to grapple with black people's problem of poverty. I saw that dream turn into a nightmare as I watched my black brothers and sisters in the midst of anger and understandable outrage, in the midst of their hurt, in the midst of their disappointment, turn to misguided riots to try to solve that problem. I saw the dream turn into a nightmare as I watched the war in Vietnam escalating. Yes, I am personally the victim of deferred dreams and of blasted hopes. Taking King's words to heart, it is important for us to challenge those among us who want to celebrate the I Have a Dream speech, but not contribute in any meaningful way to bringing the beautiful words of that speech into being. Martin Luther King left this world deeply disappointed. We need to be real about that. Left this world deeply disappointed. He came to the realization that his dream would become a nightmare without justice being coupled with love. There can be no love without justice and respect. During Dr. King's lifetime, there was a lot of talk about racial justice and social change, but then quick condemnation and ostracization when people came together to turn their talk into political activism. He didn't simply talk and deliver speeches. He marched, he protested, he demonstrated, he sang gospel and freedom songs. He used a variety of political tools and tactics such as nonviolence, civil disobedience, passive resistance, moral suasion, litigation, economic boycott, grassroots organizing, solicitation of corporate sponsors, and the oppositional use of the media, especially television, radio, and newspapers. He left us a legacy of much more than speeches and sermons. He left us a legacy of words and deeds. And when we study and learn lessons from both Dr. King's words and deeds, one of the greatest lessons he teaches us, indeed one of the greatest gifts he gave us, was his concept of the beloved community. I believe that one of the best ways we can honor Martin Luther King and keep his legacy alive is by building little beloved communities all over this country, in fact, all over this world. But first, we need a clear understanding of Dr. King's concept of the beloved community. We also need to guard against the tendency for some folks to take Dr. King's concept of the beloved community and co-opt it and turn it into a watered down buzzword. It is with this in mind, I believe, we should start with a series of simple questions. What is the beloved community? What is its role and goal in transforming society? How do we build the beloved community? Who can we build it with? Is it open to everyone, including white folk? Can people who have previously done wrong repent and be redeemed in the beloved community? Are we willing to give everyone, not just our friends and our families, but everyone, space and grace and room to redeem themselves in the beloved community? So I'm hip hop generation. I'm about to remix Martin Luther King's beloved community. Are they with me, Minister Glenda? I can't hear. Oh, God. Oh, yes. I feel good. In 1959, in a sermon on Gandhi, Dr. King stated, "The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community. So that when the battle's over, a new relationship comes into being between the oppressed and the oppressor." For Dr. King, the beloved community was an integrated society, an America that was no longer racially segregated. He also believed that along with racism, poverty and militarism were the greatest impediments to the creation of the beloved community. Building on King's concept of the beloved community, now that we are living in a desegregated and awkwardly integrated society, racial segregation is no longer the ultimate goal of the beloved community. The beloved community of the 21st century must be based on insurgent intersectionality and radical inclusivity. What do you mean by that, Rebecca? I know that's what you're thinking, Dr. Wyndham. The beloved community of the 21st century must be based on insurgent intersectionality and radical inclusivity, meaning it must be a sacred and safe place where all are welcomed, respected, and protected. Everyone, oh God. Everyone is included and no one is excluded. Like my idol, Martin Luther King, I have a dream. I dream of building a beloved community in Boulder, Colorado. Oh Lord, oh boy, I'm about to get started. I dream of a world that is committed to acknowledging and honoring the lives and struggles and leadership of the most marginalized among us, including but not limited to those who are women, queer, trans, gender non-conforming, formerly and currently incarcerated, poor and working class, disabled and differently abled, undocumented and immigrant. In the beloved community of the 21st century, we must be intentional about amplifying the particular experience of racial, gender, sexual, and state violence against women, queer, trans, gender non-conforming, and intersex folk. The beloved community, y'all. A truly beloved community is committed to combating patriarchy and heteropatriarchy and queerphobia and transphobia just as much as it is to combating police brutality and violence against black folk. The beloved community I envision is deeply committed to mental health and wellness, to immigrants' rights, to the abolition of the prison industrial complex, and to the abolition of the military industrial complex. The beloved community is committed to equal access to education and health care. I said we got the chancellor, the president, and the dean on the front row. Can y'all hear me? They right here with us. Oh, it's a new day in Babylon. Wait, hold on. The beloved community is committed to equal access to education and health care. Beautiful. Beautiful, Mrs. Inez Buggs. Oh, health, Lord, y'all better, oh, wait, pray for me, wait. The beloved community is committed to equal access to education and health care, to food justice, to animal rights, and the preservation of plant life, and to open and honest conversation about climate change and environmental racism. And, oh boy. I'm gonna go back and get it. Watch this, y'all. Woo! The beloved community is committed to equal access to education and health care, to food justice, to animal rights, and the preservation of plant life, and to open and honest conversation about climate change and environmental racism and their devastating impact on the poorest and most vulnerable among us. There can be no liberation for any of us if we do not center and fight for those who have been marginalized and exploited. This brings to mind something that Audre Lorde said, and she strongly stressed in Sister Outsider, when she wrote, "I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own, and I am not free as long as one racialized and colonized person remains chained, nor is any one of you." Woo. Beloved community members, are in sincere solidarity with all oppressed, exploited, and racially colonized people who are fighting for their liberation, and indeed, we know that our histories and destinies are intertwined. We stand in solidarity with our racially colonized family members all over the world who are fighting against the ravages of economic exploitation, environmental injustice, food insecurity, war, and continued colonization. We also stand with undocumented and immigrant people all over the world, but especially here in the United States. We recognize and honor the rights and struggle for land and self-determination and reparations for our Native American and other indigenous extended family members. The beloved community supports the ambitions and work of all progressive people struggling against 21st century forms of imperialism. It also seeks to intervene in the current political climate and assert a clear vision of the democratic world we want to create. We believe we have to be bridges for those who claim to be our allies and help them evolve into our advocates. We must reject quick fixes and false solutions and solemnly believe that we can bring into being a complete transformation of contemporary society, which sadly consistently places profit over people, greed over need, and make it impossible for most of us to live decent and dignified lives. The beloved community knows that another world is possible, a world where Latinx folk, Native Americans, Asian Americans, African Americans, and European Americans finally come together and work together to rescue and reclaim our humanity and bring into being a multiracial, multicultural, multilingual, and multi-religious American democracy. Let's continue Martin Luther King's dream and build the beloved community right here, right now in Boulder, Colorado. Another way and another world is possible, but only if we are willing to work for it, only if we are willing to be like John Lennon, who said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one." I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine each and every soul under the sound of my voice solemnly committing to making whatever sacrifices are necessary to bring into being the beloved community. I end as I began with a poem. This is one I wrote for Martin Luther King. It's called "Can I Get a Witness?" I'm about to let you go home. Oh, I feel good. Oh, boy. Oh, can you feel that? Can y'all feel that? Can you feel that? Oh, happy birthday, Dr. King. Whew, I almost started singing Stevie Wonder. Happy birthday to you. Hey, happy birthday. Woo, happy. Can I get a witness? Yeah. Can I get a witness? There were cold, dark days in the past, crammed in the cracks and crevices of slave ships named Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. There were long days working in the searing heat of the southern sun. We sweated and worked and worked and worked while others looked on in amusement and made fun. We worked behind mules. We worked pulling plows. We worked saddling up horses. We worked shoeing ornery cows. And our ancestors withered and wept when they thought about home and all that was still to come and all that was lost or long gone. Can I get a witness? Somebody save our souls, but please don't give us no more of that pie in the sky after we die. We have long died many unusual deaths in this land of milk and honey. Indeed, we have died some strange deaths in this land of purported opportunity and blood-soaked money. Some way, somehow, our music manages to sonically say what we cannot. Spirituals Project, you know I love you round heads. Some way, somehow, our music manages to sonically say what we cannot. Some way, somehow, our music manages to say what we forgot. And I can hear Billie Holiday singing Strange Fruit. Southern trees bear strange fruit. Blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scenes of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolia sweet and fresh, then suddenly the smell of burning flesh. Here is fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the trees to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop. Can I get a witness? To a life lived like a lamb and a lion, bear witness, if you will, to a soul bound for Zion. Many lessons have been learned in our days of darkness. But as Sam Cooke once sang, trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. If you live long enough, you too will experience both happy and sad days. Martin Luther, our king, he was one of Africa's lost sons, sojourning through this concrete jungle called America, this place where birds named Charlie Parker blow hot blues to cold-hearted people, the place where Bessie Smith and Nina Simone sang and moaned, sang again and again and again, we are all equal. It is interesting how art can capture feelings that seem to fall through the cracks of everyday life. It is fascinating how children sing and play together, neither seeing black or white or brown or yellow or red. Truth be told, the dead do not always bury the dead. Sometimes the living must help the dead go on living by remembering them. Remember their touch, remember their laughter, Remember their days of innocence and their days of disaster. Remember their truths. Remember their love. Remember their war. Remember when they were as peaceful as a dove. We all rise and we all fall. And someday we will all have to answer the Master's call. He was a messenger and he diligently did his duty, a messenger helping us to remember, to rescue and reclaim our humanity. Can I get a witness to a life lived like a lamb and a lion? Bear witness, if you will, to a soul bound for Zion.
Thank you, Dr. Rabaka. Thank you. Again, one of the most important parts as we continue on this journey, as we march together, we bring young people with us, we show them the way, and we invite them into the circle. And it's my pleasure at this time to introduce a young man who's joining us today. Ethan Simmons is a contemporary creative that is often sought out for collaborations, and he's eager to embrace artistic ventures here. As a lifelong athlete, he's a valuable member of local area business ventures, collaborations, and volunteer organizations. He graduated from Lawrence University in 2021 with degrees in psychology and an emphasis in economics. He now enjoys a successful sales career and is expanding his skateboard business, Loud Exec. Ethan is a graduate of Legacy High School here in Colorado and has continued to reinvest into his community. He has remained a steadfast leader, supporting others, supporting youth, and making a positive impact on his collegiate and professional communities. It's with great pleasure that we invite Ethan here today as our poetic voice.
Oh, yeah. Mobilizing hope. The opportunity to share this space with you all has humbled me. Because at face value, the opportunity to make a piece, create a piece about Dr. King's legacy is, at face value, for someone who's reasonably well-educated, I like to say well-spoken. And with 23-ish years of experience as a black man, you know, I like to say it was pretty straightforward. But as I started and progressed and knew that I wanted to provide and say something of substance, I immediately met resistance. And it lasted weeks. Blocked, no ideas coming through, and I got down to the root of it. The root was holding me back. The root was keeping me from providing something, and it was that my definition of hope that I carried with me and the definition of the hope that's at the center of King's dream, those didn't match up. For me, hope was historically focused on external circumstances. Hope was something to get you to weather the storm, endure. But as King said, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. And the thing about infinity is that it goes not only forwards, but backwards, transcends generational gaps, time gaps, political gaps, transcends all those. And it's not just hope in terms of the outlook of how I see the future being. It's an active belief that you will endure the hardship, but it's not going to be because it just left one day. It's not going to be because the sun came out, dried everything up. The hope that's at the center of the dream is an active belief, and it makes a distinction between what must be endured and what must be conquered. That's what makes the hope at the center of his dream an engine for change. A hope that's multidimensional is steadfast, because the problems you're going to run into, multidimensional. Being culturally exploited, profiled, incarcerated, segregated, lynched, enslaved. Only a multidimensional hope basis can get you through all those things. And the hope that birthed the progress through these generational struggles not only supported the belief that there would be an end, but the relentless pursuit of the end. It's still hope that circumstances will subside before you do, but it's the understanding that you can only make that determination after giving everything you have. That determination of who's winning and who loses, that's done at the top end. So you can't give half and be defeated. It's not an option. It's not defeat. It's quitting. And the hope that's at the center of the dream, there's no quit, there's no room for it. It's the dream, the momentum, the hope, that's all here. It's palpable. I can feel it. I'm walking up here, I walk through it. It was like a fog, a cloud. You feel the presence when you come up here on this stage. That's the type of hope that's in the center of King's dream. Type of hope you can't kill. Type of hope you can't kill. Pass through the generations, no matter amount of enslavement, lynching, segregation, incarceration, profiling, cultural exploitation, gaslighting. None of that will be enough to stop the movement. And as we persist, we see our overt oppressions diminish. And that's why it becomes increasingly important to continue to fortify the active nature of the hope. Because if you're just only hoping when it's bad, when it gets good, where's your progress come from? A hope rooted in action does not sigh and decompress at the sight of victory. It seeks out the next opportunity to advance, confident that the next struggle will meet the same feat as the last. Because when you lose your hope, you're paralyzed. How many of you today got up out of bed, went outside, and tried to fly? For what? Why would you? It is a hopeless endeavor. And that is the reason none of us got up, put on our shoes, and stood. There's no reason. So when the hope dies out because your overt struggles have been taken care of, when your hope dies out because right now I don't see my enemy, that's when you know you're in trouble. So I implore you to raise your expectations for the future. Raise the stakes. That's the only way you can find out. If you're comfortable now, fix it. Because the determination of whether you've won or lost can only be done at the upper bound of everything you know you can do. Because there is something on the other side of that inhibition, there's something on the other side of that fear, there's something on the other side of that pain. And the freedom that you get from relieving those things, you literally have no idea. You can't. You haven't faced it. Everything you are, you're a product of what you've already faced, heard, seen. In order to change, in order to progress, you have to step over the line. And believe that even though you might have no idea what it's going to look like, what it's going to take to get there, what it's going to feel like, let hope be what motivates you to leap into the situations that make your knees shake on stage, into the conversations that you can't predict the end of. Leap into the interview for the job you don't know you good. Leap into the apology you haven't made. Because not doing so, refusing to be hopeful of the outcome, will be to reject a part of the dream that breeds progress. You must be compelled to fight. You must be compelled to win. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan.
Where do we go from here? Well, I want to thank you for tonight, and we have a couple more things that we'd like to share with you. And, you know, Dr. King asked, where do we go from here? And in this next piece, we're going to answer that. We're going to answer that as a community. We're going to answer that as individuals. And we're going to have Aisha Simmons, who serves on the Martin Luther King Jr. Boulder County Planning Committee, assist us in that. And she's a poet, a freelance writer by day. Her career as a therapy blogger, ghostwriter, content manager, and online editor has afforded her the ability to write professionally while also raising her family. She received her degree in professional writing from DePaul University, and recently she has discovered a love for event planning, and it's blossomed into some wonderful opportunities and new vocations. Aisha is in great demand for her writing skills. And we thank her for joining the Martin Luther King Jr. Committee, contributing to the overall success and organization for all of our events. And please welcome Aisha Simmons as she provides us where do we go from here.
Hello, everyone. All right, I'm going to be brief. It's been a long night, but I did want to say that what I love about Dr. King most is that he showed up all day, every day, hurt, maligned, angry, scared. And after the pandemic, so many people were scared to say anything unless it was online, scared to reach out because they're afraid to get slapped down, afraid to love because it hurt to lose. And so all I have to say is don't be afraid. We don't have to be. We've been through so much for so long. There's nothing left to fear. King wanted us to know that. His God wanted us to know that. It's time to stand up. It's time to stay up. It's time to reach out. So when you see hope outside and those balloons, it's not a frivolous thing. H is for healing. Do that work in you, in your relationships, in your community. Do that work. No more injury online, in person. None of it's worth it. No matter how indignant we are, no matter how justified we are. Heal, don't hurt. Oh, outreach. Reach out. He did it every day. That was the main thing. He never sat at home wondering what he could do, praying another prayer for the prayer that had been answered. It was time to go, so go. P. Progress, but also process the progress. Take a look at what's going on and see if you're really making the difference you think you're making. And if you're not, stop, turn around, and do what's right. Ask what's right and do what's right. Sometimes we get involved in all of our plans and all of our ideas and all of our whatever, and we don't want to turn around and say we're wrong. It's okay. Process the progress. If it's not right, do right. E, education. And there's all different types. If you know, you probably don't know. So learn more, be better about learning more, and let's hope together. That's it.
We are almost there, I promise you.
Well, it's a pleasure at this time as we wrap up this event, as many events were wrapped up in the history of the civil rights movement with song. And we're going to invite back the Spirituals Project from the University of Denver as they're going to lead us in song. I would ask that Professor Holland, thank you for taking the stage and thank you for sharing your beautiful gifts with us today. And I would encourage all of you to stand, meet your neighbor if you haven't already. We've got hand sanitizer. You can hold their hand too. And we're going to sing. We're going to sing together.
We're not going to do this.
Now, as they make their way to the stage, there's a couple other events happening in the next month as we celebrate Black History Month. And I'd like to invite you to Mackey Auditorium next month, as there will be the annual Freedom Fund celebration featuring the Nashville African American Wind Symphony. That's February 19th at Mackey Auditorium. You can claim tickets on Eventbrite, or you can go on to the Mackey website. They'll have information there also. Featured next month, we'll have Black Futures in Art. We're not just history, in that there will be 6 exhibitions featuring the works of Black artists in Boulder County. That'll be going from January 15th until March 4th at various locations. There will also be a wonderful youth storytelling venture featuring author Niabel Bior and her book, My Beautiful Colors, as she shares her story. And that'll be February 5th and 18th. So again, come join us. Come join these wonderful events. You can find additional information on Facebook at the Boulder County Martin Luther King Day at Boulder County Martin Luther King Day, and on Instagram at MLK BOCO 2023. Continue to follow these. And in closing, thank you, Professor Holland. Glenda, thank you for a wonderful event once again.
Yes. I want to share this. Every Civil Rights March I had the opportunity to participate in, we sang, our final song was We Shall Overcome. Right hand over left. If you want to touch somebody, if you feel like it, and then you lean to the right and swing to the left. I'm not Professor Niarma, and so I hope I'm giving good directions here, but.
Amen. Chris, if I could have, there we go, just a little bit there. Yes, 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 yes. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Minister Robinson, for inviting us to be with you today. I have particular feelings about this song, but I'm so encouraged by everything I've heard and experienced today. And I'd just like to leave you with this word. Let us not simply sing beautiful songs and have had a good time, but let us leave from this place and actually do something. let us bring to fruition the things that we've heard and we've seen and we've experienced today. We shall overcome. We are not afraid today. We are not afraid. Today, we shall overcome. Someday, we'll walk hand in hand. Today, oh, we shall overcome. Yes, all of us together. Together now. That we shall overcome. We shall live in peace.